Good morning, brothers and sisters. I hope you had a wonderful day. It's Friday. So by the time you will be watching this, I will be going into the temple. This will be the first time in more than a year. And for me, getting to the temple takes a while. It takes generally about 2 hours from my home to get to any temple, or more, depending on which one it is. And because I take public transportation everywhere. Well, I know I shouldn't complain about how hard it is for me to get to the temple, especially having so many temples so close. I should be thankful for how many we have. I know there are people that getting to the temple is so much harder. My ex-fiance, she had to travel from Thailand to Hong Kong to get her endowments taken out. So I should just be thankful for the ease of being able to go to the temple. Okay, now that I've done my fair share of being layman, let's get down to this book. Now, as I was reading this first chapter of the second book of Nephi, one thing came to my mind. Like, if there could be a single title for this chapter alone, what would it be? It would be The Pleading of All Parents. As I was reading this, I was like, this is really what every parent that are faithful followers of Christ and God, this is their pleadings, the desires of their heart. I don't know what that's like. I'm not a parent, but that's what this whole entire chapter just told me, is this is the pleadings of a faithful father. Okay, so let's get started. So starting off, we see in chapter 4, he says, I have seen a vision in which I know that Jerusalem is destroyed, and had we remained in Jerusalem, we should also have perished. So when I read this, I was like, that would mean that their home was destroyed. And that would be horrible. We wouldn't have such a great book. So I'm glad Lehi listened and came. And verse 5, I like it. He says, notwithstanding our affliction, we have obtained a land of promise, a land which is choice above all other lands. Now, one thing I want to point out here is a comparison between when Moses was leading the children of Israel from Egypt, he would say that he's leading him to a promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. I'll have to go back and check, but I don't think it ever said a land which is choice above all others. I don't think it ever said that. If you know the answer, please put it down in the comments for me. I would love to see this. But I think this is unique to the Book of Mormon, where God said this. And he continues, he says, a land which the Lord hath covenanted with me should be a land for the inheritance of my seed. Yea, the Lord hath covenanted with me this land unto me, to my children forever. And then he adds something special here. And also all those who should be led out of other countries by the hand of the Lord. So here he's alluding to the pilgrims, the all these other people who are fleeing because of religious persecution, and they're coming here to the U.S. And remember, at first, when people, the Europeans, started coming here, they weren't just exploring for hoping to find somewhere. They knew where they were going, and every single one was escaping religious persecution. And they wanted to be able to practice their faith how they wanted without having to deal with state-sponsored religions like the Church of England or the Catholic Church. They wanted free reign to practice what they wanted to the dictates of their own heart. And then he continues that there shall none come into this land save they shall be brought by the hand of the Lord. Well, we see people being brought by the hand of the Lord even today. We see people who are escaping because they want religious freedom. And there's people that come for other reasons, but I'm not getting into politics, so take your politics and go that way. All right, so let's continue. Now, he's alluding more and more to people who are coming for faith reasons. It says, and if it so be that they shall serve him according to the commandments which he hath given them. So he knows that these people are coming because of religious reasons. He says, it shall be a land of liberty unto them. Wherefore, they shall never be brought down into captivity. And that's true. You look at how prosperous the religious people have been when coming to America for the first time. They're able to practice their religion perfectly, or as best as they can. If so, now Lehi's getting to a point where he's saying that if they don't follow the commandments which God has given them, if so, it shall be because of iniquity, because of sin. For if iniquity shall abound, cursed shall be the land for their sakes. In other words, God's going to be cursing the ground because he's hoping that it will see them to come back to him. But unto the righteous it shall be blessed forever. And continues in verse 8, he says, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. So this land was kept secret from the rest of the world, and its location would state that's the purpose of it. It was literally far beyond anything anyone could imagine. No one would want to sail that far in those days. All right, let's continue. Verse 9. I, Lehi, have obtained a promise that inasmuch as those whom the Lord God shall bring out of the land of Jerusalem shall keep his commandments. Wait a second. He's alluding that other people from Jerusalem came to this land. He knows this. They shall prosper upon the face of this land, and they shall be kept from all other nations. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the previous one. He's alluding to the Amalekites. Or was there more people besides the Amalekites and the Lehites that left Jerusalem, that came to the promised land? Is that a possibility? Yes, it is, because remember, Jerusalem got sacked. It got destroyed. So is it possible that people decided to leave and God guided them here? It's highly possible in the realm of thinking. Okay, let's continue. And they may possess this land unto themselves. For if it so be that they shall keep his commandments, they shall be blessed upon the face of this land, and there shall be none to molest. I really hate that word. None to molest them, nor take away the land of their inheritance, and they shall dwell safely forever. So he's saying that if we keep the commandments of God, this land will be in our inheritance, and we shall dwell safely. But we see as time goes on, people forget God, and they're losing their faith in him. And it's putting all of us at risk. There is so much going to be happening here soon. It's scary. Keep your faith. Listen to the prophets. That's the best things I can tell you. Just stay close to the prophets. Stay close to the church. If you are struggling with your faith, well, it's something for us to work on. We all have struggles of faith from time to time. I've had mine more than once, because I am a thick-headed person. It takes a lot to get into my brain, but it does. And once it does, I pretty much stay there. All right, let's continue. Verse 10. And he's alluding here. Lehi is kind of hinting, because he knows what's coming up. He says, the time cometh that they shall dwindle in unbelief, after they have received so great blessings from the Lord, having a knowledge of the creation of the earth and all men. So he's alluding to what we know in Genesis. Knowing the great and marvelous works of the Lord from the creation of the world, having power given them to do all things by faith, having all the commandments from the beginning, and having brought by his infinite goodness into this precious land of promise. Behold, I say, if the day shall come that they will reject the Holy One of Israel, the true Messiah, their Redeemer and their God, behold, the judgment of him that is just shall rest upon them. He is telling us that as we fall away from God, that his wrath will come upon us and bad things will happen. Other countries will attack us. Look at 9/11. Someone will disagree with me saying that that wasn't a wake-up call from God. It was. And it did it for a while. We became on 9/12, we became more united as a people under God than we had been on 9/10. You look at now, we are more divided. We have forgotten the commandments of God. We have forgotten his precepts, his teachings. We are rebelling against his prophets, his apostles, those who are called by God. We are rebelling against them. And it's going to bite us in the end. Now, here's where he says this. He says, "Yea, he will bring other nations unto them, and he will give them power, and he will take away from them this land of their possession, and he shall cause them to be scattered and smitten." Now this has happened to others, but we've had other nations attack us. World War II, we had the Japanese attack us. 9/11, we had an Islamic terrorist group attack us. These are wake-up calls. I would hate to see what he has planned for us if we keep on rebelling now. And now here comes a lot of deep pleading. Verse 13. Actually, let's go back to verse 12. He says, "Yea, as one generation passeth to another, there shall be bloodshed, and great visitations among them. Wherefore, my sons, I would that ye would remember. Yea, I would that ye would hearken unto my words." Saying, listen up, children. I got some serious news I'm going to drop down on you. All right. Verse 13, he starts off with this whole beautiful pleading, and it just stirs our soul. He says, "Oh, that ye would awake, awake." He says that twice, because when in Hebrew writing, you want something done, if you want them to really pay attention to it, you would say it twice. So he says it here, "Awake, awake from a deep sleep, yea, even from the sleep of hell. Shake off the awful chains by which ye are bound." Which are the chains which bind the children of men? Now, I want you to pay attention to what he just said. Shake off the awful chains by which ye are bound. He didn't say break off the chains or shatter the chains, because that would mean that someone else has control over you on that you somehow don't have the free will to break the chains yourself, that someone locked you in there. The chains of sin, of rebelliousness, of iniquity, they're just dangling on us. If you would imagine a chain here on the wrist, just resting over there, okay? Comes down, comes up around, down our arms, and it intertwists in our legs. They're just loosely sitting there. They have no real power over us. They're just resting there. So he's asking us to shake them off. And that means we have more power over our sins. than we think. And he says that they are carried away captive down into the eternal gulf of misery and woe. And then he goes down into verse 14. He says, awake and arise from the dust. Hear the words of a trembling parent, whose limbs ye must soon lay down in the cold and silent grave, from whence no traveler can return. A few more days, and I go the way of all the earth. How sad. We're going to lose Father Lehi. I hope he's one of the people I get to talk with when I get up there. He seems like a cool guy. And now he drops something that is very beautiful. He says, but behold, the Lord hath redeemed my soul from hell. I have beheld his glory. I am encircled about eternally in the arms of his love. How nice is that? God has redeemed his soul. Okay. Now comes here comes some heavy stuff. It says, my heart hath been weighed down with sorrow from time to time, for I have feared lest for the hardness of your hearts, the Lord your God, should come out in the fullness of his wrath upon you, that ye be cut off and destroyed forever. Can you guess who he's talking to? I think we can. And then he continues, oh, that a cursing should come upon you for the space of many generations, and ye are visited by sword and by famine, and are hated, and are led according to the will and captivity of the devil. Wow. And then he says, O my sons, that these things might not come upon you, but that ye might be a choice and a favored people of the Lord. And we know Laman and Lemuel have the capabilities of being righteous people. We've seen that when, after they built the ship, they humbled themselves. They didn't need to be forced into it. They didn't need to be coerced or stricken by the Lord. They did it of their own free will. So we know they have the capabilities. But they choose not to, because it's easier to follow the ways of the world than it is to follow God. It's not easy to be a Latter-day Saint. It's not easy to be a believer in God. And he adds, insomuch as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper in the land. This is what he's saying to Laman and Lemuel and the sons of Ishmael, saying, he hath said, in other words, God has said, insomuch that ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper in the land. But inasmuch as ye shall not keep my commandments, ye shall be cut off from my presence. He continues in verse 21, he says, and now that my soul might have joy in you, and that my heart might leave this world with gladness because of you, I might not be brought down with grief and sorrow to the grave. He says, arise from the dust, my sons, and be men. What does he mean by be men? A real man, this is Brother Kevin again, is one who leads by example. He goes to God. He leads his family to God. He sets the example of going to church, temple attendance. He leads prayer over his family daily. He has a great relationship with his wife. He knows his children. He spends time with them. He gets to know each individual child, and he prays with them. He's asking them to be a man of God. Let that sink in for a moment. Christ asks in both the New Testament and in the Book of Mormon, in 3 Nephi, what manner of men ought ye be? Just let it sink there. That's heavy stuff. And then he adds on, be determined in one mind and one heart, united in all things. This sentence here, this simple little area has more power to stir the hearts of any man than we've read yet. Now, does this mean that the women are excused? No. No. Because we could take this and we can change it. Let's do that. Let's make a little tweak in it. Add some oomph in it. It says, arise from the dust, my daughters, and be women. What does it mean to be a woman? It means that when you rise in the morning, your heart is set to the things of God. For you women who are married, you're ready to support your husband in every righteous endeavor. You are there to teach your children the things of God. You are there to lend help to other people, not just to other women, but to other people. Your heart is set forward to be of one of service, to help guide other people, to be an ear to listen, to help. No gossip. Leave the gossip aside. Be someone who just sits there and listens, and then will listen with the Spirit of God so that she knows how to lead them. That is what a woman is. All right. That's some powerful stuff. Let's continue. Sorry. Verse 23. Awake, my sons, put on the armors of God. I thought I was reading in Ephesians. Awake, my sons, put on the armor of righteousness. Again, he says here, shake off the chains which ye are bound, and come forth out of obscurity, arise from the dust. remember, and I just said this like 5-10 minutes ago, our chains are not weighed down with the weight that someone else put on. They're not locked by someone else. Not even a lock. They're not even locked. There's nothing holding them down. They're just sitting freely on our shoulders, on our arms, our legs. He's asking us to shake them off. We have the power over those chains. There's nothing holding them. And one of these times I'll look for some chains and show you what an imagery of it. All right. It says here, rebel no more against your brother, whose views have been glorious, and who hath kept the commandments from the time we left Jerusalem, and who hath been an instrument in the hands of God, in bringing us forth into the land of promise. For were it not for him, we must have perished with hunger in the wilderness. Now, one thing I know every child hates is when you're compared to a brother. Why can't you be like him? Why can't you be like your older brother who is so much better than you? It's the most annoying thing any child. It hurts us. But he has a purpose in it. Nephi has been a righteous man all the way through this. When his bow broke, instead of murmuring like everyone else, he went and grabbed a bow, grabbed some string, made another arrow, a simple arrow, and he went to his father. He went to the patriarch of his family, the priesthood holder. Well, the one who has authority over himself. He recognized the priesthood chain of command. And he went to his father and he said, where should I go? Well, that humbled him. And he was able to get food for the children. He alone did this. Okay, let's continue. Verse 25, he says, I exceedingly fear and tremble because of you, lest ye shall suffer again. For behold, ye have accused him that he has sought power and authority over you. But I know that he has not sought for power and authority over you. He hath sought the glory of God and your own eternal salvation. So when Laman and Lemuel were rebelling, Nephi only wanted the welfare of their souls. And that's the hope and desire of every righteous man or every man of God that has siblings that rebel or who refuse to come into the sweet embrace of God. I know that from personal experience. I wish my brothers and sisters would turn from their rebellious natures, their sinful lives, and come unto God. Come back to the fold of the Lamb of God. That's all I want, is my brothers and sisters to come. And I don't know if they will. And let's go to verse 26. He says, ye have murmured because he has been plain unto you. Yeah, Nephi just has been saying point blank, this is what it is. Ye say that he has used sharpness. Ye have say that he also has been angry with you. But behold, his sharpness was the sharpness of the power of God, which was in him, and that which ye call anger was truth, according to that which is in God, which he could not restrain, manifesting boldly concerning your iniquities. We've got a few more to go. In verse 27, he says, and it must needs be that the power of God be with him, even unto his commanding ye, that ye must obey. But behold, it was not him, it was not he, but it was the Spirit of the Lord which was in him. God uses the righteous people to help stir up the hearts of the wicked, in hoping that they will turn from their rebelliousness, turn from their wickedness, their sinful lives. He uses us at times. Now, does that mean the wicked can't stir our hearts? No. We see in the Book of Mormon that... Sorry about that. I didn't think this video would be that long, but it has gone to another alarm, which means I'm going to have to stitch it together at work. So, where was I? God has, as we see in the Book of Mormon, God has used the Lamanites to bring the Nephites into remembrance of their sins. And it worked many times where the Nephites are starting to get destroyed and they turn from their sins and remember God and continue to live in a righteous manner that befits him. And he says here, and now my sons, where did it happen? Now behold my son, Laman, and also Lemuel, and also Sam, and also my sons, who are the sons of Ishmael. Behold, if ye will hearken unto the voice of Nephi, ye shall not perish. And if ye will hearken unto him, I leave unto you a blessing, yea, even my first blessing. But if ye will not hearken unto him, I will take away my first blessing, and yea, even my blessing, and it shall rest upon him. Now we see something similar. So the eldest son, according to Jewish tradition, the eldest son is to be the leader of the family. We talked about this when it was first discussed about Nephi becoming the teacher and ruler. We see something similar happen. So let's go back to the Old Testament. The sons of Jacob. Reuben is the eldest son. He is, by birthright, going to be the leader of the house of Israel. But because of what he did, he lost his birthright. And it went to the first son of his second wife, which was Joseph. Joseph became the rightful heir of the blessing of firstborn, to be the leader over the family. And here Lehi is saying the same thing. He's saying if you rebel against your brother, you will lose your right of leadership, of birthright. Now, he speaks to Zoram. This is sweet. This is a beautiful thing. In verse 30, he's at the very end. He says, I know thou art a true friend unto my son Nephi forever. So, on this whole journey, Zoram has been probably Nephi's best friend. They probably spent many times talking, hanging out with each other, playing their Xboxes, watching movies. Yeah, they didn't do those things. I know. But they hung out. They enjoyed each other's company. And it's good for guys to have someone like that. Even women. Yeah, everyone needs someone to hang out with every once in a while. He continues, he says, I'm going to read both verse 31 and 32, and then we'll end this. He says, because thou hast been faithful, thy seed shall be blessed with his seed, that they may dwell in prosperity long upon the face of the land, this land, and nothing save it shall be iniquity among them, shall harm or disturb their prosperity upon the face of this land forever. Wherefore, if ye shall keep the commandments of the Lord hath consecrated this land for the security of thy seed and with the seed of my son. All right. That's 2nd Nephi chapter 1. Welcome to book 2 of Nephi. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I hope you guys get plenty of rest and that tomorrow you'll wake up charged, ready to go into the weekend. We'll see you again tomorrow morning for the scripture of the day. Give me there. Come on. Camera control. And